I've owned a Rane One for about 6 months. Stay tuned to this video to find out what my favorite features are, whether or not it was worth it, and what another friend of mine who also owns a Rane One really thinks. What's up, y'all? My name is DJ Switch with the DJsGuru.com, and today I want to talk about owning the Rane One over a 6-month period and some of my absolute favorite features, and I'm actually going to get that right out of the way up top. We're going to talk about 4 different things today that I really love about my Rane One. Specifically, we're going to talk about the portable turnkey performance with the motorized platters. We're going to talk about how it's completely plug and play with only 3 cables. And we're going to talk about class-leading durability and repairability. The last thing that I want to talk to you about is this excellent ecosystem that I've invested in for my Rane One so that I have options depending on where I want to set up and what the purpose is going to be for that week or that gig. So let's start with the whole turnkey performance thing. I come from playing on a set of 1200s for many years. For the longest time, I was playing bars and clubs where I was just loading my turntables night in and night out into the back of my car, going to the gig, unloading, setting them up. It took me anywhere from 30 to 60 minutes, depending on how far I had to carry the gear and how complicated the setup was. It also kind of depended on, for example, if I played a hip hop show, did they have a table on stage or did I have to go and find one? There's all kinds of little things that come along with trying to set up turntables and doing the whole entire rig every single time I wanted to perform. And my absolute favorite thing right off the top with the Rane One is that it eliminates all of that. I now have one device that goes in one case, and the setup is literally just plug in a couple of cables and press the power button. It has completely, not even cut my setup time in half. It's cut my setup time down to 20% of what it used to be. And I'm so incredibly grateful, not only for not having to exert all that extra effort before a gig when I actually have to perform once the manual labor part is done, but also just having everything so much more simplified opens up a lot of flexibility and options. And I'm going to talk about that a little bit more once we get into the whole ecosystem thing that I mentioned. The next thing I want to talk about is class-leading durability and repairability. The thing about the Rane One, or really most Rane devices, is that they're built out of steel. Now, granted, it's not the most expensive or most bulletproof steel in the world. It is a lighter steel, which is totally okay. That saves on the weight, but compared to other devices that are made out of plastic by basically every other manufacturer of DJ equipment, just having a steel piece of equipment, especially when you're paying that price tag, is such a wonderful peace of mind. It also means that it's far less likely to get scratched up or scuffed up with minor nicks. And if something were to happen, if there was some sort of minor scuff or bumping to happen to the gear, I strongly feel like the steel would be far more capable of taking little minor nicks and bumps and scuffs and not turning them into nearly as big of a deal, both visually or physically. Now, the thing with repairability and Rane is the same thing that I've absolutely loved about Rane since the early days. Rane makes it very, very simple to, for example, take out a crossfader and clean it, or get a swab in to clean your channel faders, or just dust the damn thing out. All it takes on the Rane One is 6 screws that are right on the top plate, right in the section of the mixer area where all of those faders are. The 2 channel faders and the crossfader, you can easily remove them. They just pop straight off. And then it's 6 screws to remove that plate, and you have access to the inside of the Rane. No other manufacturer of any DJ equipment anywhere makes it this easy for you to self-service your own equipment. Rane has been known for that for many, many years, and the tradition continues. Even though they're now owned by InMusic, thankfully that Rane tradition continues with their latest device, the Rane One. The next thing I already mentioned a couple of times, plugging in the Rane device when you go to set up at a gig is as easy as power, USB, and a signal out to the speakers. That's it. That's all you really need. Having a backpack full of cables and needles and slip mats and basically my entire jetpack that I carry around to all my gigs that has all that extra stuff for my turntable rig, like the majority of it just isn't necessary anymore because all I need now is 3 cables, power, USB, and something to go out to the speakers. And so my backpack requirements, what I have to carry around weight-wise, aside from the controller itself, has gotten so completely minimal that I can really just throw my laptop and a couple of cables into any bag I have, and I don't have to take my designated DJ gig bag to every single gig that I want to set up for. And that actually leads me really nicely into the last thing that I mentioned, which is the ecosystem of flexible loadouts. And let me explain what I mean by that. Having a single device like the Rane One that I can DJ from and actually perform on at a high level, it actually has opened up a lot of opportunities for me to be able to find creative and nuanced ways to DJ that I wasn't able to before. For example, if I get hired for a corporate barbecue, or if I get hired for a wedding, or if my MC wants to go on tour, I have a $300 road case made by Odyssey that has a rack mount space with my wireless mic already mounted in it. It has a shelf for my laptop, as well as anything else that I would need, like desk space / shelf space for. And it makes, because the case itself has wheels on it, it makes it really easy to load in basically a fully functioning touring rig into any of the bigger events or the more like serious events where I'm going to need all of that gear. But here's the thing, and this is what a lot of DJs are doing more and more of these days, is there's these little boutique shows, there's smaller bars, there's, in my case, comic shops and video game stores where there's not a lot of space for a full rig, and maybe you want to be able to just do a smaller setup. I can still take the Rane and just have a smaller setup that doesn't require a full table and it doesn't require all that extra equipment. All I have to do is, instead of putting the Rane One in my big road case, my big flight case that's heavy and bulky and has wheels and all that stuff, I can actually just slip it into a soft case. There's a company, Magma, that makes like a hard foam case. And it's just a matter of like throwing on a shoulder strap, and now you're just carrying this thing around like it was a keytar or a trumpet or something. Like, it just goes over your shoulder like any other musical instrument would. You show up, you plug into the gig, you play the gig, and then you go home like a musician. It's so much easier to set up, play, and go home when your whole setup requires 3 cables and a laptop. The last thing that I had invested my money in as far as the Rane One is concerned is a deck saver. As a matter of fact, this guy right here. And if y'all don't know what deck savers are, I'll give you sort of the elevator pitch. This company, Deck Saver, makes these lids for equipment that are designed to more or less live in the studio. But the thing is, when equipment lives in the studio, it still gets really dusty and it still gets really hard to clean. And so these are essentially dust covers, kind of like the old school turntable dust covers, but Deck Saver makes dust covers for all kinds of equipment. Anybody who has your Rane or any other equipment that lives in a studio environment where it's just kind of like chilling and not really getting put away in a case very often, at least get a Deck Saver for it, because it will protect your investment like nothing else will. This isn't really a Deck Saver video, but strongly recommend picking up a Deck Saver. Having said all of that, those are absolutely hands down my favorite things that I've discovered owning a Rane One over the last 6 months. But I'm not the only one out there in the world that has one of these things. As a matter of fact, a producer buddy of mine out of Seattle by the name of Bill Beats sat down with me recently on a Zoom call, and we had a quick chat about his experience owning a Rane One and what things have been like for him. I'm working on this video where I'm talking about my long-term thoughts on owning the Rane One, and you actually got your Rane One almost at exactly the same time as I did. I think we were like a week apart.
Right. Yeah,
So,
definitely. Yeah, I think we ordered from different companies, but
we like I literally got mine, and you were like, me too, and I was like, wait, what? So
yeah, it's the right time.
so you've had yours for about 6 months, like me. Like what do you think, man? How you loving that thing?
So I mean, I'm coming from a Rane 72 mixer, and I had a Rane 12. As far as what I had set up before,
single 12.
A single 12,
okay.
Yeah, and a mixer. And my goal was kind of to have a good, like, portable run and gun, be able to run to shows, play, not really have too much setup. I had a little flight case that was just a mixer and a turntable setup. So real easy, but still heavy. You know what I mean? It was still pretty heavy. And as I went down that venture, I started to really miss having that second turntable, having one turntable, and the Rane 12 was great at switching back and forth. So for the most part, it did everything I needed. It was just like, you can't juggle, you can't really queue up and wait, like those little things you couldn't do. So,
not with that attitude, sir. Not with that attitude.
That's true. And so when they announced the Rane One, it was like, okay, 2 turntables, basically the same technology and little platters.
Yeah.
I was kind of hoping it'd be a little bit lighter. It's still pretty heavy. But the good thing, though, is that it's a one package thing, right? Your mixer, your turntables, everything is all in one. So the big selling point was one box. I could fly with it. It could be a carry-on because it's a music instrument. So it's a little bit bigger than a normal carry-on, but technically they have to let you on.
Yeah, so I want to touch on that for a second because I know that you, the case that I bought, like they for sure will not let me on a plane with that case. I bought a big, solid, I bought a $300 road case for mine. It's got a rack mount space where I can mount my microphone. It's got a shelf that rolls back for the laptop and stuff. So it's heavy. It's got wheels, but it's kind of miserable to move around without those wheels. You went the other way and you got a soft case for yours.
I did, yeah.
With the soft case, they let you just throw it in the overhead?
Yeah, I've only flown once so far. Obviously, we're pandemic, so
right.
I haven't gotten on a plane very often, but yeah, I just carried it on. It's like a little, suitcase style, or like a little briefcase kind of thing with a handle on the top, long ways. And I got on, and it's a soft case, and my big goal was to keep the weight down because, as you know, your hard case is probably like 40 pounds on its own, right? 30, 40 pounds, somewhere in that range.
At least.
On top of, I don't know, what's the weight on this guy? Is it like...
It's 20... So, actually, funny, this came up recently, and we won't get into why the weight came up recently, but the Rane One is exactly 23.5 pounds.
23.5, okay, and then I believe... that box, the mixer, or the case you have is probably somewhere in that range too, if I remember.
Oh, at least, yeah.
I got real deep into the math of it to try to figure out exactly how much weight it was going to be. So I ended up going with a softer case, like a soft shell. I don't know what, it's it's firm, but it's light. I think it's less than 5 pounds.
Yeah, it's like a hard foam case. You got the Magma case?
I did, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and so weight wise, it's a bit much still, right? It's a little much to carry around, and I'm already looking at other solutions for how to do it. I think I've already figured it out. I got a little, one of those little $15 fold out, it's something for somebody that has a purse that wants to put their purse on wheels and roll it around, right? So real little, it's got a little 5-inch, 6-inch base on the bottom of it, and it's perfect.
If it works.
Oh, it's 100% perfect. I can bungee cord around it. And what's amazing is that the top of it, the arm folds in, and then you can still put it into the overhead. So I can just leave it all connected with the little wheels on it. So I think I've actually figured out the perfect setup. So
welcome to Rane One Travel Hacks with DJ Switch and Bill Beats. Dang, man. So okay, so you figured out a wheelie cart thing to go along with the soft case that you got. So you don't even have to throw the shoulder strap on it anymore. You can just wheel the damn thing through the airport and then throw it in the overhead.
Exactly. Yeah. I haven't used that yet, obviously, because I went on a trip in January, the beginning of January. So as soon as I got home, I was like, I got to find some kind of wheels just for the long runs, sometimes you get to the airport and you got to go all the way to the other side to get onto your plane. So something just to kind of roll it around, make it a little bit easier.
Or you got to get from the parking lot of the venue to the stage of the venue. You know?
Yeah, for sure, exactly. Yeah. So
I mean, somebody's got to get that thing inside.
Yeah, right. And I think like I'll carry it for the most part, you know, just for simplicity. Because as long as I'm not going too far, it's not that heavy.
Yeah.
But if I know I'm going to be walking a bit, or you know, let's say I'm in South by and we're going to be roaming around, I'm going to put it on wheels because why not? You know, like I don't need to carry it everywhere. So
yeah, for sure.
But yeah, getting on the plane with it, it was okay. I think you'd be okay with your case, other than the fact it's heavy. But they technically have to let you bring it on as long as it's not bigger than a guitar, which it isn't.
It is.
I don't know. You might be okay.
No, no, I got the Odyssey, the big Odyssey road case with the shelf and all this. Dude, it's definitely bigger than a guitar. They're not gonna let me on.
It might be, yeah.
But that's why I'm looking into the soft case thing, right? Because I heard that's what you were doing, and I was like, oh man, that's actually kind of brilliant. Because not everything that I do requires the big. Because the reason why I bought that big road case because I'm building out a touring rig. Because my MC wants to go on tour, and as soon as the borders open up in Canada, he wants to go hit Canada and start touring. And like I'm down, but like I need to build a case that had a microphone mounted, and then it's got cables and stuff. So like every cable, every power strip, everything that I add to that case or bolt on, it just adds more weight.
Oh yeah.
And so for bar gigs or for smaller gigs and stuff, like especially just around town, getting that soft case for the Rane makes it so much more portable, especially because I'm a big dude, so I got no problem throwing that thing over my shoulder and then carrying it around like it's nothing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's not that heavy. It's just like it's long-term heavy. You know, it's like carrying around 30 pounds all day would kind of suck. But if you're just going from car to thing, that's easy.
Yeah, I haven't done that since high school, bro. Like, I'm not doing that.
Yeah, right. I mean, think about all the times you've carried two 1200s, you know, and a mixer on your back, and you're just like roaming, and like, that sucks, but it wasn't that terrible.
Well, and that's the thing is this whole unit weighs about as much as one turntable.
Yep, exactly.
So, like, you know, in terms of, like, weight and efficiency and stuff, you're getting so much more for this for the same weight as a single turntable without the mixer, without the other extra deck, you know, all that stuff. So, the other thing that I want to touch on with you, because I know that you mentioned that you already have a 72 and a 12. Your style is like you play a lot of hip hop shows.
I do.
You don't play out a lot of clubs. You don't do a lot of weddings and stuff, do you?
No, I honestly don't do a lot of mixing. So, you know, like my structure is a lot of playing beats, which there's no mixing involved in that. I'm just playing a beat. And then scratching, right? So that's where the One was like a big boost for me, because the One allows you to scratch pretty much at the same fashion that you would on a real turntable. So going from, you know, and honestly, that's the reason why I've never really touched a controller. This is like really my first full controller that I've ever used.
Yeah.
Because even when I had the Rane 12, it's a controller, but it's basically a turntable, you know, like it's, I don't know if I count it as a controller just because it's kind of doing its own thing anyways. So, but yeah, so this is the first one that allows you to really cut the way that I want to cut. I get that the other ones can do it and people have been able to do it for a long time. It's just never felt right for me. I like the platter that it's spinning. I like that I can feel the weight of it. It's different. It's definitely different. It's not exactly the same, but like once you warm up on it, it feels fine.
Yeah, for sure.
But when you switch back over to full 1200s, though, it's weird.
Yeah.
Everything's so giant. You're like,
So let me ask you this then, and this will be my last question because I don't want to keep you. But as far as the Rane 1 is concerned, like, do you see this as a long-term investment? Is this something you're going to hang on to for a while, or is this something you're looking to upgrade if new technology comes out? Like, how do you feel about it as a long-term play?
I'm kind of split. I think that I'll probably hang on to it for a while. I felt that way about the 12 though, right? So when the 12 came out, I was like, this is it. This is the move for me. This is where I want to go. And, you know, it's great, but now I'm in a situation where so my home setup was my 12, my mixer, and then like a 1200, right? So I could play vinyl, I could practice scratching, all of that in one. Yeah. And then when I got this thing, this is kind of now my new practice gig as well as live gig for, you know, all of that stuff. So I plugged in my 1200s again, and I'm like, oh, I missed this. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't realize how much I missed 1200s by using the 12. You know, and the 12's so close, you feel like you're right there, but then when you're actually scratching on an actual turntable with a needle, it's just so much better. And so because of that, I definitely don't want to carry any of that, right? So like I know that that's not going to be my go-to for live shows.
Yeah.
So this thing is so perfect for a live show without all the weight, being able to fill all of that. And I don't see myself moving away from it unless for some reason somebody else finds one more thing where it's like, oh, here's, you know, a little turntable with a little arm. And I know they do. There's somebody that makes a 3D printed arm. I don't know if you've seen that.
Oh yeah.
It connects in and you can like mount it on there and it'll
you can play like 45s and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's cool, but honestly, it's still not a, you know, Technique 1200. So I'm cool with this. This is all I need, really.
Well, hey, Bill Beats, all the way from Seattle, Washington. Thank you so much for joining me today, man. I really appreciate your time.
Yeah, definitely. Likewise. Thanks for having me on here.
So there you go, everybody. Thanks for staying to the end of the video. If you want to know whether or not I think it's worth it, absolutely. I love my Rane One. I know that there are other companies that are working on making controllers that are in the same class, but I've already invested money into my ecosystem around my Rane One, and I already love performing on it, and I don't really see a need for myself and for what I need it for and all of the different types of flexible gigs that I plan on using it for. I don't think I'm going to be giving it up anytime soon. It is very much a long-term investment for me, and it's one that I plan on sticking with for quite a while. It would take a pretty incredible shift in the fundamental way that I DJ for me to want to give this thing up. So that's going to do it for this video, everybody. DJEventGear.com does have these in stock, and you can find a link in the description below this video. And if you have any questions, please feel free to throw them in a comment below. We love to answer questions in the comments of our videos, and I will be keeping an eye on the comments as well. And I am more than happy to answer any questions that you have about the Rane One and about owning this thing in a sort of a longer term capacity and what this is going to mean for me going forward as a long-term investment. What's it going to look like a year from now, 2 years from now, 5 years from now? Obviously, it remains to be seen what the equipment's going to look like in the industry going forward, but I don't plan on getting rid of my Rane One anytime soon. Thanks very much for watching, everybody. Don't forget to hit the like and the subscribe. Make sure you're following on all of the DJs Guru social media, and I will see you next time.